I mean, I would be mad too if an orphan came out of nowhere and he stole my rightful throne. So there.
The Koalition.
You can't tell from the banner, we're going to go talk about Mufasa, the Lion King, and not the Lion King Mufasa, like I originally thought it was. This was a trailer that was shown over at D23 Brazil, which again gets all of the good stuff. This is the final trailer because the movie does release very, very soon. I know there will be press screening soon. And this is the prequel to The Lion King. And this one kind of changes the game of what we have known The Lion King to be and what we have known of The Lion King Part 2 to be. Because it was that sequel. That was really good. Because they did the morning report. He's like, I know none of this. The long
I don't
and the
remember
short.
Part 2 at all.
Part 2, when he had the daughter, and Zazu was like,
been a
the
long
morning
time.
report. It's been a long time, long and the short. Okay, basically what we have known, or we have always known, was Mufasa was the rightful heir to the throne. He is the king. Scar was always the jealous one, upset that he was not the throne. He could not stand the baby, Simba. We know of the whole backstory of how he treated Simba. And we were like, you are the villain. Long live the king. And, he threw his brother off the whole cliff. And this one is like, nah, we want to reset the whole thing. Where basically Simba's an orphan. Not Simba. Mufasa is an orphan. And he is basically taken under by Scar. And I'm just confused. But what were your thoughts on this live? I can't even call it live action because it's all CGI. It's CGI made to look like National Geographic Channel with voices.
Yeah, I mean, graphics are nice. I mean, they definitely put in a lot of money to reboot this for a new generation. So I can't fault Disney for trying to make more money. But as me as an adult who loves the original cartoons, I see this as a cash grab and try to like stretch out that story a little bit more. But it's an interesting idea. I think it's when I heard about this, it was kind of a cool idea of there's this I wouldn't call it a trend because we only have it with one movie right now, but there's a series of books out there that kind of like interpret the villain's point of view of a lot of Disney movies, like Gaston, for example. There's Scar, there's the Wicked Witch of the West, there's Ursula. There's a lot of these different books. So it's not as black and white as they're just evil when they're just bad people. So this movie kind of gives a little bit more complexity over like what happened with Mufasa and Scar, which I'm kind of interested in. And you can see that like they don't call him Scar, they call him by his actual name. And I guess he gets that name later on when he becomes evil. So that's an interesting transformation there.
Well, we'll get to learn where the Scar came from on Scar. I am trying to be positive. Obviously, I have not seen the movie, but I'm just a little taken aback. I'm sure it'll work out, but it's just a bit jarring. And I think that that's just because of what? Over 20, 30 years of programming of what we were told that, he's the rightful heir. This is the whole throne. This is the royal bloodline. And the dude was like just jealous the whole time. Killed a kid, tried to kill a kid. Then, pretended he was dead, lied to his mama. He lied to Simba's mama. You remember that in the movie? When he's like, your son is dead. This whole thing belongs to me. And everyone's like starving to death and the hyenas are like a mess. And it's interesting to see him play kind of like the good person. And I like that. I like that change because, unless you're the penguin, it's nice to see that, you was turned that way. You didn't become that way. You wasn't born as evil as you are. And you have the whole, I hope this comes into play with the whole, nobody knows the troubles I've been, nobody knows the troubles I've seen, nobody knows my sorrow, which technically is a slavery song. people don't know
Mhm.
that. Yay, slavery. But this will be very interesting to see. Um, I am sure that there's going to be sprinkles and hints of Scar being considered evil or just taking a different path. You know, we're going to definitely have some disagreements. It's all great and jolly in the beginning when everyone's all like, "Yay!" But I'm pretty sure we're going to get more of that "nay" within that whole thing. And Scar, the whole thing was also about destiny. If you remember the original Lion King.
Mhm.
So maybe it's like, yes, this is Scar's place and rightful heir, but it was destiny that Mufasa became that way. And then maybe it's interesting to see, are they humanizing a villain? Do you think? And does that then change what we already had? Or do you just view it differently? Because it's like this is a different format.
Um, a little of both. I mean, I think they're humanizing him, but I don't think they're humanizing him for sympathy. I think they're humanizing him in a sense that they'll give his character more complexity when you think about
Mm-mm.
Scar in the original Lion King. Because I mean, I from what I get from the trailer is that he already seems like a troubled person, a troubled kid.
Mhm.
So it's just, I would assume throughout the movie, the troubles are increasing and he becomes more and more of a bad person or a jealous person or whatever it might be. I mean, I would be mad too if an orphan came out of nowhere and he stole my rightful throne. So there's that. Well, the fact that you change it to that, I assumed from the original Lion King, they were brothers. They were born as brothers, and Mufasa was simply
Mhm.
just the oldest one, so he was meant to be the first in line to be king, and it was as simple as that. But apparently, that's not the case with this new story. So, I think it's an interesting concept that they could go further with this.
What did you think of the graphics, especially the CGI of it all?
Sorry, so I'm conflicted with it because this goes hand in hand with my opinion on the original, sorry, not the original Lion King, the remake of the Lion King CGI. I love the graphics. It looks very real. It looks gorgeous. I don't think it translates very well for a cartoon movie because you don't see the facial features as the same way. They're not as animated. They're not as emotive an actual cartoon would. So like you see all these you're seeing like Simba or Mufasa trying to look angry, but it looks forced, or trying to look happy or
Mm.
sad, and it looks unnatural. So in a cartoon, you can do that a lot more easier. So I'm not really crazy about the CGI, but maybe I'm just an old man who doesn't like new things.
Right. No, I completely agree with that. That's kind of what the problem was that we had the first time with the other CGI movie was there
Hmm.
wasn't any expressions.
Hmm.
And there's certain things, as you said before, there's like quirks and kind of certain personalities and nuances that you just can't get with a CGI character that looks like, it's too realistic. So I'm not going to start expecting a random hyena to start, singing and dancing and it looks a certain way as it does with the cartoon. And I
Hmm.
think that is what made the cartoon so special, was that it can be that way. So with this, to me, it's Lion King. It's not Lion King, it's National Geographic with words. It's like a
Hmm.
documentary, but now look, they're talking. And then there's random singing. What did you think about the voices? Because we did get some glimpses of it. Obviously, it's not the original cast. Rest in peace to Mr. Darth Vader and Mr. Mufasa and Mr. James Earl Jones of everything that is voice.
Actually, also, wasn't the voice of Scar too? Didn't he pass away? I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah.
He passed away too. So yeah, we don't have the
Hmm.
cast anymore. Surprisingly, I mean the voice casting is okay, and the voice acting's
Hmm.
is good. I was actually kind of surprised that the voice of Zazu is very close to the comedian guy who voiced Zazu. Oh, I can't remember his name. He does like those daily night shows, those news shows, kind of like the Daily Show with Trevor Noah, but for HBO.
John
Oliver
Oliver.
John Oliver, yes,
John
John
Oliver.
Oliver. He was the voice of Zazu in the remake one, and
Mhm.
he sounds like him a little bit in this one, but I know it's not him. So that
Right.
was actually a bit of a surprise. But the rest of the acting is still really good.
Right. And then we were all are getting some of the voices from the beginning because remember, this is a story that is being told to Simba by
Yeah.
Zazu. So it's being told to Simba, so that means we have the return of Donald Glover. Nyla is Beyonce, which there was many thoughts about that. I don't want the hive to come after me, but it is what it is with that. And then we will also have the daughter, which is Kara. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. That's going to be Blue, which is Beyonce's daughter. So Blue Ivy
I didn't
is
know
in
that.
it. So
Okay.
she has a deal with Disney. She did a whole thing on she has a deal with Disney. So it is what it is with that. So we're getting everyone's voices. So in the story itself, it's more about like she learns more about her family and the family dynamics. So it's interesting to see because Scar is dead. So planning him to be a hero, it's kind of interesting. I don't really know. He's dead. But that should be kind of interesting. And I did like these special effects and the graphics. I'm not gonna lie, I was thrown off by Aaron Pierre, who does he play? He plays is it Mufasa? But I was thrown off a little bit. I was thrown off by the voices in general.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, not so much because they sound so differently, but because I'm stuck and it looks like National Geographic, and then they start talking. So it's just odd. But it's what I could expect. I saw the other prequel and that had there a lot of mixed reactions, a lot of mixed
Mm-hmm.
reviews to the point where I was really confused as to why we're getting a prequel. But it should be interesting. I do look forward to it. There is not in this one, but I brought this up 15,000 times because we have seen trailers and clips and bits of it before. You're old enough to remember the Lion King video game,
Of course.
right?
Yes.
You remember them darn elephants where you had to swing on the
That
tail?
whole game was incredibly hard, but yes, I remember that level. Couldn't
There
touch the
is a
ground.
scene. There is a scene in one of like the very first-ish trailers that they released that is word for word, almost beat for beat of that scene.
That's
And
funny.
I'm just looking forward that if they can incorporate parts of the video game, this is the best movie ever. Because that game, that's a core memory and it's scarring. No pun intended. But yeah, overall, this looks okay. It's not like something that I have to like run out to go see. I think my mother's more excited than anything because she's just like, get me out the house. But she's excited for it. Yeah. So we'll see how that ends up going. But to me, I'm being more hopeful. It's not like something that's sticks to my memory. I don't want to see it at my home, so that's good. I don't want to see it streaming. I do feel that this is a theater movie. So, and you said you would be going to like you have that same feeling that it's something you would see or like not.
No, I would wait till it's in streaming. I would wait till it's for free.
Okay.
It's not for me. And it's not because like I don't think it's gonna be a bad movie. I just don't think it's for
Okay.
our generation anymore. I think it's really just meant for the new generation. I think it's meant for the kids or young teens who've seen the remake, which is their original, so they're gonna follow what their original was and commit to this and continue on with their story. Like for us, it's the cartoons. So I'd rather just stick with the cartoons.
Wow. I never thought of it that way. It's no longer for us.
Yeah.
It's for today's generation. That is so sad that we're part of the it's no longer for us crowd. That's
Yeah,
really
and
sad.
I feel about that with a lot of things as you get older, especially like with Disney and Star Wars and Disney and Marvel. Like little by little, these
Yeah.
movies aren't meant for the 30s and 40-year-olds. It's meant for the 10s and the 20-year-olds.
Mm. So do you think that today's generation, with all of the reboots and the prequels and the sequels, they're losing the magic of not even just like what the original was, but do you feel that kind of there's a loss of magic when it comes to animation now that everything is overtaken by CGI? We're
Um,
getting Lilo and Stitch in CGI.
When it comes, oh god, yes. So Lilo and Stitch is actually my favorite Disney movie. I love Stitch as a character. And
Mhm.
when they're doing the CGI stuff, I'm not crazy about it, but I am still going to watch the movie just because I'm a Lilo and Stitch fan. But I'm not crazy about it being CGI. So I don't think. I'm sorry. What was the question again? Like about the
The
generation?
question is basically, do you feel that, the kids of today, because everything is now a different format
The
in terms
CGI.
of everything has to be CGI, do you feel
Yeah.
that they're losing the magic of animation? It's not to say that animation is dead, but there's a
Yeah.
certain time, like when we grew up, it was animation. And
I
then
don't.
Pixar kind of took over, but it was still
Yeah.
magical because it was still animated.
So no, I don't think the magic is dead because well, sorry, let me put it
Uh-huh.
this way. The magic is dead for us. I think it
Oof,
is because so number
oof.
one, not only if it's cartoon, we got these bright colors and they're cartoons, so that was magic for us back then. And on top of that, we also appreciated the work. It's hard work drawing the characters, doing CGI. Not to say that it's not hard to do, but it is much easier and less costly to do CGI animated movies and stuff too. So that stuff is for the new generation because that's what they grew up with. That's what they're used to. They're not used to watching The Little Mermaid,
Mm.
the original. They're not used to watching Snow White and The Lion King and all that the way that we saw it. So their magic is different from ours. So I don't think the magic is dead in general. I think the magic is dead for us nowadays. So it'll be harder for us to get into these animated movies that are coming out nowadays.
Jesus, that was hard.
Yeah.
Oof. Well, then I guess that's kind of our thoughts then when it came to that trailer.
Yeah. I hope
Ending
it
on
does
a
good.
sad
I hope it
note.
does good.